Do you have a favorite quote? Something you really like to repeat yourself? Not need to be like famous people saying this. It can be you. It can be your dad.
Yeah, I have this quote by John Rush. I might misquote him,
Quote it.
but yeah. But feedback from your friends is bad for you. Feedback from the people you ask for feedback is bad for you. And that
Oh
really
yeah.
stuck with me. Yeah, and this is a whole unpacking this is that when you ask people for feedback, they get into this mode of looking at the details and analyzing, like, could I say this so I kind of sound smart, so I kind of sound like I'm helping this person,
Yeah.
and that's really not useful
That's
to
what
you
you
at all.
want.
It's just noise. Yeah, yeah.
When did you started to do like kind of indie maker stuff or doing your own project? Like when you were like freelancing or even before when you were a student?
It's just an AI rapper. Like, this guy just got lucky. I hate this when just got lucky. Man, there is no such thing.
Today I welcome Dan on the show. So thanks for accepting my invitation, Dan.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's amazing to have you here. So if you should resume your path in 3 minutes, how you will do that?
I'm a front-end developer slash designer, and my path has been quite interesting since I started to work. I've always been working for myself. I never had a full-time job in the traditional way. I worked as a full-time freelancer, and I've always made apps and small things on the side, maybe some open source projects. And about 2 years ago, I thought, hey, I could actually make an app and sell it and have it as a business and not just do it for fun, not just do it as a hobby. And that's because of all sorts of inspiration that I started to see, especially on Twitter, on X. I thought with the right skill set, this could actually be a way of life. That could be the full-time thing. And I had no idea what the right skill set is at the time. I'm not sure if I completely know now, but I have a better idea at least. And yeah, and here I am now. I'm more full stack. I do a bit of everything, and you have to do your marketing, you have to do your sales, you have to do 100 different things when you're indie. I still do some freelancing every now and then, depending on what's available. But mostly I try to run these businesses, and I have about 5 big projects that I work on, and probably 10 in total that are smaller ones, and the podcast as well called Morning Maker Show, and that's a thing we started to do this year, and it's a really nice experience. It's taken me out of my comfort zone. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of experiences that I didn't think of myself. I didn't see myself doing at all in the past. So yeah, that's me so far.
Thank you, Dan, for this nice presentation. There are many topics I want to go deep with you. There are like, what are the five big projects you're working on right now? Like just to have a list.
Yeah, I'd put so Morning Maker Show that I mentioned is one of the top ones, and this has a few levels. We have the podcast, we have a paid community as well. I can go into details, but don't have to go now.
I will ask you later. Yeah.
Yeah. The second one is Shipixon, and that is sort of a framework for developers, or that's what I want it to be. And that's been my primary development projects for the past 6 months. Then there's Crontab, that is to do schedules, online recurring schedules without having to host anything and so on. Then there's Clobber, that is a developer tool / app to test API endpoint speed, so load testing type of thing.
Okay.
Then I would put, I guess this is the fifth. I already have fourth. I would put Hunted Space as the, it's hard. Hunted Space as the fifth, which is growing quite nicely. It's essentially statistics around product hunt, but also mixed with directory and the ability to have some favorite products, I call them, and around these, some of them have newsletters, some of them have technical blogs. They have all sorts of ramifications depending on the marketing channel that I do for them. Yeah. Oh, okay. I forgot. I think I should have mentioned Page UI together with Shipixon. That is sort of the open source version of Shipix, and I kind of see them together, but they're technically two separate products.
Oh, well, I'm taking so much note and so much bad writing. This is crazy. When did you started to do like kind of indie maker stuff or doing your own project? Like when you were like freelancing or even before when you were a student? When was the first one and what was it?
So the long story is I used to be in a startup, and that was maybe 10 years ago now. So I was very young and foolish. I didn't know what I'm doing. And that was a bootstrap startup. We didn't take investment, but I consider that sort of an indie hacking approach, even though I didn't know what indie hacking is at that point. So yeah, we were a bunch of young guys trying to make a product, trying to sell it, and figuring out how to do it while having, enough to pay rent and just get some food on the table. Yeah, ramen profitable, but ramen wasn't even a word back then. And this is a new term. So it was a mix at the time. It was a mix of freelancing and this, yeah, exactly. So we tried to sustain the product development with some freelancing, and that worked quite well. The product still exists, and the guys that I started with still work on it, which is actually pretty crazy.
What's the name?
It's called Play Digital Signage.
Okay.
And I think they really matched this indie maker approach because
it seems for what you're saying. Yeah.
They've moved all over the world. At some point, they were traveling through Asia. Like this, the same. We just didn't call it that, but it was the same approach. And I think
it didn't exist at the time. The name
exactly. You didn't have the terms to define this. Yeah. So I think their headquarters is in the United States now, which is interesting. Okay. And some of them moved there. I don't keep like a close connection, but I still like have a special spot for that guy. So anyway, in between, I kind of burned out after that because, as I said, I didn't. Yeah, it's a lot, and I didn't know what I'm doing. And we got into some pretty big things. Like I can go into that if you want.
You were a co-founder to it, or just like
we were all co-founders. Yeah, so we all had equal parts in the company. I think we started as 6. Yeah, we started as 6, and then the first 2 left quite early, and then we were 4 left with 25% each. And you can guess how that went. It's when you're young and foolish, like and I can get pretty emotional about things. So yeah,
I think I did the same. The first project was kind of like that. Everyone was like same kind of shares and stuff, and then you create a democracy in a universe when you don't want a democracy because democracy goes slow as fuck, and you want to go fast.
Yeah, you want someone to have the vision and to sort of guide everyone towards that, and it's hard to do that when everyone feel like they have the same weight in the conversation, right? So yeah, that was more on me, I guess, because I had my own vision with where this should go, and everyone else had their own, and it just didn't work out. Like, no hard feelings. It was a great experience, but it was hard for me because then I thought, well, you get all in entrepreneurship, you get all these questions like, am I made for this? Maybe I shouldn't have done this, and the classic stuff. A few years after that, after doing freelancing, I started to slowly get back into this and to think, maybe I can do something. And I was looking around. How long did it take you? Yeah, man, maybe 4 to 5 years, something like that. Before, I would still do small things, but it would be completely without any expectation that this will become. Yeah, exactly. Like maybe an open source script or some stuff like that, but not more. Or maybe like a website, or small things. So I recovered from that quite slowly, and then working as a freelancer, you see all sorts of problems, and I started to notice, hey, this could be a product that I could build, and they could buy it, they could solve their problems with it. And that's how Clubber started. That was the first project after all this break, let's call it. I don't know what to call it. It's sort of a sabbatical. Yeah, exactly. Sabbatical, yeah. And that was exactly from this. From a freelancing gig, I noticed, hey, they could use an app like Clubber to load test just internally, just to have a quick smoke test. And this doesn't exist, so let me build it. And and that's how it connected. I can tell you more about that if you want.
Yeah. I think you can sell me the software because I think I need it. I will subscribe at the end of the show.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that was the first one you created it, and so this still exists. Like, do you share publicly revenue on that? Like, how much you're making with this?
I'm not sharing that much on it. It's still making like a few $100 a month, but
Okay.
I don't actively develop it because I know what I should do to get it further, but when I have 5-6 things that I could work on, I have to choose which one will bring the best return on investment. And right now, I don't think this is it. I maintain it. I still, get it to work in the state that it is, but I don't do active marketing for it, and I don't try to grow it right now. I might at some point, and there's also an option to sell it at some point.
Yeah, that will be my next question. Like, why you didn't sell it?
Yeah, that's probably something I should consider. But at this point, I'm juggling so much that even the thought of selling it, going through the process, I think that's time I don't have, right? But I should make the time and put it into better hands. Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes with it. I didn't validate it. First of all, I kind of did because I saw people need it in the freelance work, but I didn't validate it with some sort of external audience, right? I validated with the people that I knew, and that's sort of like the biggest mistake. Ask your friends about, is this a good idea or not? Of course they're gonna say, yeah, it's do it. It's a
brilliant.
Yeah.
You're gonna be rich, man.
Exactly. Go for it. Yeah. And then as soon as I thought, oh yeah, this is the idea, I went all in and I made like a really cool animation. You can see it on the website, and then like a intro video, and I used my connections to kind of get the super cool presentation, and just spend a bunch of money on this, which it took me like 1 or 2 months to get back. Just this marketing money that I didn't need before even validating, right? So classic mistakes of going all in and thinking this is the next Facebook, where it's definitely not. But it's a cool little app. It's still making some passive income. It's on Setup as well. I don't know if you know Setup.
Ah, yes, I have. I'm paying Setup. Like, I'm a user since so long. I love this thing.
All right, then you can try it there.
Cool.
And well, you could use it there. And that's a nice, little passive income. I think that's the reason why I still keep it around, is because of Setup, because they sort of do marketing for you. I think it's such a nice platform. If people listen to this and they have apps, it's not the holy grail of marketing, but it's an extra channel that you get for free, and they do a pretty good job at showing off your app, and why not be there as well? I think it's awesome.
And they are not like they are selective a bit, no, on the things they are.
They are. You need to apply, and they need to think that it makes sense for the users. And I think now they're leaning heavily into AI. So if you have an AI app, they're probably going to approve you, but I'm not sure about the rest.
Yeah, I saw Daniel got approved with Bolt IA, other kind of. I think also I forgot his name, the one of Typing Mind.
Yeah, Tony Din. Yeah.
Yeah, Tony. So they are all on it.
Yeah, it's a good source. I mean, you actually reach different people through it. So I think one of the mindsets that people have is, well, if I'm going to be there, they're not going to buy it from the App Store or purchase the subscription directly. But it's usually different people that will otherwise not pay you at all for this, or not even discover the app. So think of it.
Many apps thanks to Setup. So
exactly. Think of it as an extra channel, and then even though it's not a huge amount, it's some passive income that you get for essentially submitting an app to another store. So
And also, funnily, I don't know if I am the only one doing that, but like for example, typing mine, I bought it. I have it. I have the license. But when he released it on setup, I uninstall my version I have with the license to install the setup one.
Yeah, I do
Then
the
you
same.
get more
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, I do the same. Yeah, it's because it's so convenient to have all your apps and set up and to sort of
Yeah,
manage it from there. And yeah, so I do the exact same. So yeah, if you have a nice app, you get double my money anyway. So yeah, totally
yeah,
recommend doing that. If some people think about doing it or don't think about doing, just apply and maybe you get in. It's an awesome
sure.
platform. Yeah.
And what's the model of revenue? Like, it's because your app is installed or used?
So the revenue, that was the other mistake that I made with Clubber. It was a one-time app store fee, and it's probably
Mm.
one of the fewest apps that have that. And I think I priced it at $8 or something really
Oh,
dumb
wow.
like that. Yeah, exactly.
It's
Because I
very
thought
free.
it was so, yeah, it was basically free. I was so naive that I thought, well, I'm gonna sell thousands of these, like every month. I'm gonna, I'm gonna crush it.
If
So
you're doing fucking good marketing and putting millions of ads, maybe, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, maybe like that. But even so, it is the wrong model because this doesn't cover maintenance and future
Yeah,
development and so on. So I kept it like that because it was going for many months as a one-time fee, but I've increased the price quite a lot. Actually, not sure. I think it's $30 now or something like 35, something like that. So I kept increasing it until I saw that the sales kind of slow down.
decrease. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, a few $100 from that, few $100 from setup. I mean that's about it. And if I were to sell it or to work on it, I'd change it to a subscription model, and I would probably have to rework some of the things because having not validated with users, I kind of missed a lot of the marks that actual people need because I thought I know better. And that's the, what is it, fifth mistake? I don't know. We keep counting. So yeah, that's how it is with the first app. You kind of get everything wrong. And like this mentality of doing more and more is just because it's a way to learn, and you will for sure make all these silly mistakes because no matter how much you read about them, until
Yeah.
you do them, you don't learn. So
That's always like that. Agree. Like, and even now, I still sometimes add feature and feature and feature into CapGo. And at one point, I'm like, okay, let's measure the usage of this shit. And you see, like, no one is using it. So you try marketing, you market the feature, no one use it. I'm like, fuck me,
yeah,
remove this shit.
yeah. Yeah, it's tough sometimes to know what's gonna work. There's also some room for experimenting because the funny thing
Yeah,
about users is they can give you feedback on something that exists, but it's very rare that they will ask for something that is not there because they can't imagine what's not there.
yeah.
So plenty times you have to come up with a new way to do something and then ask for feedback on that.
Also, on the other side, there are my user, for example, they ask me very often things I don't want to do.
Yeah,
Like supporting an old version of
yeah,
the technology I use or stuff like that. I'm like, no, oh, I've tried. It's a mess.
yeah.
I cannot do that.
Actually, I wanna, if you want to go into it, I have some questions about CapGo because it looks
Yes.
really awesome. I have. Can we go into that? Is it okay?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
This is a free space like you. You can
Yeah.
talk with cheese with Nico. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh man, I should have bought some cheese. So is it mostly a B2B app or what's your target group on it? Yeah.
It's full B2B. Like
Yeah.
before, I was selling a mobile app myself in B2C, and I am bad at it. I am terrible. Like I don't know to do marketing. I don't
Yeah.
know many stuff. So I switched
Yeah.
to this because basically I had the problem myself with my own mobile app. Like to send an update to every user is a mess on Apple and Google, because Apple and Google do something very dumb. Like they check themselves the app. Like now Google is even doing it. So they put a real person to check your update.
Yeah.
And so it takes like from 1 to 3 days, and this is quite fast still to have a person checking every update on the world. And after that, you have your update pushed to the store. The time is available to the store, it takes from 1 hour to 24 hours. But the problem is most of the updates are download on Android randomly, like it's a mess. Most of the time you have to download yourself at one point. Or on iOS, you have to be on Wi-Fi and phone charge, and the person not using the phone. So if these three conditions are met, then you have an update.
Yeah, and also they might turn that off, right? You cannot control. I think I saw that setting. Yeah,
and if you have low memory, it doesn't download, and there are so many conditions. So you can count a normal update happen to 90% of your users in 3 weeks, which is long, especially if you have a bug.
Yeah,
very long.
Yeah, like an urgent, critical fix that you need to push.
And everyone is like complaining on the support, and they say, I'm waiting Apple to fucking review. So this is like painful as fuck. And I was doing app with Cordova and Capacitor now, which is like a mobile website. You put in a mobile app with the source in the mobile app. So it doesn't contact any server, just the code is in the mobile app. And it's just like a full screen browser, basically, with more capabilities. You can ask like the camera, stuff like that you cannot do normally in browser. And so this is beautiful because on Apple and Google rules, there are something written, say, if you use JavaScript, CSS, and HTML, you can update without telling us. And I'm like,
oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
So that's actually a huge advantage if you write apps in web technologies. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Yeah.
That's an amazing thing. And so because of that,
Sorry, could you potentially replace the entire app, or is it just parts of it, modules? How does it work in practice?
In my app, in CapGo, because I created a CapGo app also, and in CapGo, if you have your own app distributed through CapGo, you can test your own app in my app. So you can swap CapGo to another app.
So no limits whatsoever, basically.
Yes. This is also problematic. I have to be careful when I say to people like, because if you do live update, and because there are some rules, Apple say you can update code like that, but you don't have to change the purpose of the app. If you do that, we're going to ban you forever. So a calculator cannot become a streaming app. If you do that,
exactly.
you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it kind of has to match the description that you put in the an App Store Connect.
But you can add features, you can fix bugs. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine, and they don't care, and they have very hard time to check it anyway, because it's happened when it's already on the phone of the users.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know when you actually update it. So it's pretty clever. But how did you get this idea? Was it also because you worked on something like it, or on your own project?
No, I got the idea because I was doing mobile app with this technology, and I knew one solution exists made by the creator of Capacitor, Ionic. They made AppFlow, and this is their main business is to do CI/CD for mobile and live update as a feature of the whole offer.
Okay.
And they do that, but the whole offer is expensive. Like it's $250 a month minimum, and you got not much live update. If you have an app with like 2,000 people a month active, you're gonna pay like 2,000 or something like that, which is insane. And so I was complaining on GitHub basically about that. And so many people complain as well. We were many complaining, and they were like, sorry, but we only target like big corporate, not SMB, not makers. And we're like, what the fuck? Like we are a million following you, making your community live, and we have no option. And they say, sorry. So at one point I say, can I do it? And the CEO of Ionic at the time, Max Lynch, he said, yes, of course, please help us to make people stop complaining.
But
And
that's
so I
such
started like
an
that.
awesome way to start a business, right? You have a lot of angry people that have a problem and they're just
Yeah.
waiting for your solution, basically.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
when I
it's
say I want
super
to do
cool.
it, people are like, "Yeah, please, please, we're gonna
Yeah,
pay you." I was like,
yeah,
"Okay, okay."
yeah. Man, really cool, really cool. Yeah. So yeah, I love what you do. I don't have. I only have Electron apps, and I don't think it
Yeah, that
works
was
for
my
that,
question.
right?
The
Yeah,
like Clubber and they are all Electron app.
they are Electron apps. Yeah, yeah. But I
Okay,
would.
cool.
Yeah, I'll probably do. I want to do a mobile app, but I mean, it just if it happens, I'm not gonna use the
Mm.
technology just for the sake of it. But I was actually thinking just go with web technologies. I think for the most part, the user doesn't even see the difference, or unless your target group
Unless
is
you try
iOS
to make
developers.
unless yeah maybe or you
Yeah,
try to do Snapchat, then it will be problematic, or Google Map. Doing Google Map in
yeah,
a
yeah,
web view, it will be problematic.
yeah, yeah. There's probably use cases for all, but yeah, but I'm thinking more like a CRUD type app where you
Yeah,
can
this will
manage
be
some
like
things. Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like basically Facebook or stuff like that, where there are
yeah,
no much, you can do it easily
yeah, exactly.
in web tech, and it will be no difference. Like I helped a company like doing a streaming platform, Kick.com, which is like Twitch, the second biggest after Twitch.
Mm.
They're using Capacitor, and it works perfectly. We had some tweak to do on the streaming things, but
Yeah,
it works. And yeah,
that's
so
pretty
there are
cool.
very few use case. But
Man, just
for your Electron app, do you do live
yeah.
update as well?
No, no, not live updates. No. So for Clubber, I need to go through the App Store process as well, and
Hmm.
it's probably similar to the iOS one. I haven't tried the iOS one, but yeah, approval process, and you have to upload your app, and there's some silly requirements, and then they might reject if you have a
Yeah.
link that points to I don't know what, and then they say, oh yeah, you cannot promote this or that, and yeah, similar story there. So I think that would make sense, but maybe something in the Electron world exists. There's all sorts of extensions there.
Yeah, I know there are a system with GitHub release uh,
Hmm.
that you can do, but I don't know a system like CapGo. I'm thinking to extend like to React Native
Yeah.
and to Electron, so that's something I will do maybe at one point.
Yeah, I do. So for Shipixen, that there's an app for that, and I do the GitHub Electron release, but that
Hmm.
installs a new app, so it doesn't replace, a part of it. But
Oh,
that could
okay.
work outside of the App Store. The problem is, and that's the complaint, that Electron apps are pretty big, and
Yeah.
every time you do an update, you need to re-download that whole thing. I mean, it's just developers that care about that again, but it's still,
Yes. Like what? It's 200 megabyte. And it's like, oh
yeah.
man.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not such a big problem these days, is it? I mean, all
Yeah.
the computers come with, I don't know, a terabyte of storage minimum or whatever. So unless you buy an Apple product,
Yes.
then you need to pay for
I'm
that.
still impressed. You can still get 250 gigabyte on a MacBook Air.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
There's
what the
just
fuck,
they're
guys?
shady. They're shady patterns to get you to upgrade, and then you upgrade a bit, and then you think, oh, maybe I should get the better processor because I paid a little bit anyway, and then you think, let's get the next Pro model, and then,
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, oh, what, $5,000 for this? Yeah,
How did that happen? I was
yeah,
like paying
exactly.
1,000 and like five.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's really shady
it's,
marketing. Yeah,
it's it's shady but very smart. Like the way they do
yeah,
it
yeah.
is
It
like
works. It works.
you
Yeah.
climb the ladder of the price so fast.
Yeah, yeah, and it just nudges you, and that's the problem. Like if you start from a MacBook Air and say, okay, I go light, I do it, and then you add the storage, you add the RAM, and it's like, wait a second, this is the price of MacBook Pro, and then you go to that, and you
Yeah,
think, yeah, maybe, and you keep going up until you realize that they got you in this flow, and
yeah.
they're just using your monkey brain to get more money out of
But
you.
I think also the fact that you cannot upgrade later make you even more
Yeah.
scary because first time I
Yes.
bought a cheap one And then I was like, fuck, I am fuck with this shit. Like I want to do Xcode and
Yeah.
it crashes
Yeah.
time each time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's such a it's the equivalent of first 100 purchases are this much, 20 left, because you kind of have this urgency to like I
Yeah.
cannot get it later. I need to get the best deal right now. And I think it's definitely on purpose, but now the technology has changed. But before they didn't have a reason to do this and they did it anyway. Now they
Yeah.
kind of have a reason because it's all in one
Yeah,
chip
all in
put
the same
together.
chip and everything.
So now it's harder to argue, but it's still like this, that you'll think, well, let me just get double the storage because in
Just in
1 or
case.
2 years, maybe I don't know what. I want to run ChatGPT locally or whatever, and I can't.
Yeah, and I think now that will be one of the main justification of the evolution of RAM into computer and phone. Like everyone would like to have like running in local like IA, and you need like 8 gig minimum, even more.
And a nice GPU as well. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's crazy. What have you done like in open source? Like what you did? Like I'm curious about your open source project.
Yeah. So if we're just talking about Clubber, that also was open source. It's an open source core, so there's a CLI for it that you could just use, and I kind of hope that that's a funnel for the main app. But for that to happen, you kind of need the idea to be validated. We go back to this. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's all right. It's fine. But I think the biggest contributions to open source are around front end and UI. So I have some tools for email signatures that I put there, and then page UI that I mentioned before is now the biggest one that I have, and it's essentially a collection of landing page components and templates for them that you can copy paste. That's been going very well because it actually works as the Clubber CLI is supposed to work. It's actually bringing users to the paid product, and it's a pretty huge value because in this world, first of all, you don't have really that many component libraries for building marketing sites. Like most component libraries are around app UI, dashboards, and buttons and all of that stuff. And second of all, you have the template components, and usually people get those templates. They pay $50, $80 if you go on Framer or whatever. You start to pay quite a bit of money, and I keep adding those templates. I think I'm up to 5 or 6 now. And the more I add, then the more value this ecosystem has, and the more people will check out the paid product as well. So I really like doing open source. I think there's also like a small win that gives you motivation to work on products. And open source is tough. If you get a win in open source, why should people look at your stuff? There's so many libraries, so many things out there, and you just put another one, and you hope people will use it and people will contribute to it. So when someone actually spends the time to add some code to contribute back, it just feels amazing. It feels like you're onto something, that you did something good. That's one thing. And then the other thing is this fact of putting your code out there for everyone to see. It's terrifying for some. And I kind of felt the same, and it's super liberating to put it there and to realize no one gives a shit about it. It's just in your head, and it's probably fine. And then you take that back to your own code, and I think I became more efficient after doing that because I don't care that much about it. I think it's fine. You don't have to over-engineer everything. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's a double effect because what I'm posting, all CapGo is open source. So everything is on it, like the CLI, the backend, the frontend. And so in certain things, people are helping or like contributing and like the project and stuff, start the project. And some other things, like when there are company where they need to check if I'm not doing shit, sometimes they pay someone in the company to look the code And often they report like some bugs, like they found like some things where it was like a fucking open
Yeah.
door to stall everything. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Oopsie.
Yeah. But that, yeah, you can view that both ways. I think it's still a positive because
Yeah, I
someone actually
improved.
spent the time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you improved it for the next customer. So I think it's still a pretty good model, but if you get really popular, I also see this where you just get swamped in issues, you have hundreds of issues and you just cannot fix all of these requests and bugs for, as you say, there's someone having an old system in the basement trying to run a thing they shouldn't run and make an issue. Hey, can you fix your app on this GPU type? On what? I don't know what this is. Yeah. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword, but for the most part, I think it's been helping me. It's been driving good traffic as well, and it's been generating revenue on the paid tools so far. So I'd
Yeah,
still,
that's cool.
yeah, I'm still gonna keep doing it. I'm not burned out on open source. I'm positive about it. So
Yeah, no, I personally I really like open source. Like I think that brings a lot of interesting things. And even if you do a business, like for me, my main business is open source. So this is kind of very scary as well, and makes many people told me like I am dumb, doing that, like doing business in open source. But I really like that because I have no fear of. I know my main concurrence is myself in open source. Like people doing it themselves instead of. So I created my own concurrent, and the good part about it is people are very kind about my concurrence. So when they share like they're doing it on their own and stuff, I can ask them question like what's the reason like push you to don't use CapGo? And I have very good answer. Like people say, yeah, because security rules of company, we cannot host our code somewhere else, or we are in India, we need a company in India and stuff. I know I will never be able to address, for example.
yeah,
So when they tell me that, I say, okay, so maybe you can support me in open source, and they do. Like now, I
yeah,
have like 200 euro in open source by month, something like that, which is good and it's
that's
growing.
super cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That there's different ways to do this, and I think a lot of companies nowadays even have a budget to support open source. So yeah, I'm not sure. Very small ones probably don't, but medium and higher, they will have a budget, and then of
yeah,
course their interest is for this project to be maintained. So throwing in a couple $100 makes a lot of sense for them, even if they don't use your infrastructure or whatnot. So yeah.
yeah. I find this is beautiful. I don't pay any server for them, and they pay me 50
Yeah,
euro bucks,
it's a good deal. Yeah.
yeah, which is like the big usage in
Yeah.
my app. So I'm like, okay, thank you,
Yeah.
no
Yeah,
problem.
exactly. Yeah, good margins there.
Yeah. Perfect margins. Unless the GitHub fee, I think this is 100% margin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question about the show, like about the podcast. What made you start this the show, and like where are you going with it?
Yeah. It's super random. Sandra and I, we've always been quite active in the indie maker community and try to get into people's replies. I think that's sort of my advice every time someone asks me, how do I start this? How do I get to know people? Reply to people that are at the same stage as you are. So we've been doing that for a long time, and then we felt like we know a lot of people around, but there's also a lot of new people that don't get any sort of visibility. And we just jumped on a space one day and thought, let's go through updates in the build in public hashtag. Let's see what people are doing. And we went through it. And I think the reaction that we got was extremely positive, because these people, they had one like on an update, and all of a sudden they were part of a space with a few hundred viewers looking at their thing and checking out their website and saying, oh, this is cool. And usually we're quite supportive with things, and maybe we try to give some feedback on what we find. So we did that as a live space. And then we didn't know what we're doing, and it wasn't even recorded. We realized, hey, what the hell? We should have recorded this. It was a good show. And then we thought, let's do it again. Let's do a space, and now we record it. And then we recorded it, and the next step was, and we kept getting, a few hundred listens. And the next step was, well, can we put the audio somewhere on a podcast thing? And we did that next, and that worked. And then we started to get more views, and then we thought, well, let's make a website. And we made a website while being live on this, and
Wow.
kind of that was quite
Build in
crazy.
publics, like
Build in public on steroids. Yeah. And it kind of small steps spiraled into this, and then one day we thought, let's get some small microphones and see how that goes. And then another day we thought, let's do a screen recording, and then we tried to put the screen recording and realized, okay, this is not a good way. Let's find an app that could do this. And then we started to do video, and then we thought, okay, let's not do the audio live space, let's do a video live space. And then we thought, well, maybe we should get into YouTube as well. So we started streaming there. It all like incrementally grew, and we changed the show format a lot. We started to have guests. We started to, listen to other people around us and try to bring some of them on the show, like just small segments. Also have a little bit more fun with it, because the community part, which is one of the biggest parts right now, is also about getting through some of the rough days, because this, let's be honest, it's a rough journey, and some days you just can't do it. And just having some relatable people that have a bit of fun could get you through that tough day. So that's also some of the ideas that we try to follow. And most recently, trying to do what others have done for us. So what I guess we all can say, Levels.io had some sort of impact, seeing this one guy making it with his apps, having a pretty good living, or, well, great living right now, I could say, out of this, brought me out of the hole I was on. I think not specifically him, but also him. For me, it was someone called Alisa X that was doing apps, and I thought, yeah, man, I gotta do this. I can't. What am I waiting for? So we want to do the same. We want to show how it is to get started. That you can do it. That there's a community of people that do this, and there's a safe space where you can do it, because that's also quite scary to put your work out there. And there's a lot of copycats, and there's a lot of negativity as well. And if you're unlucky, right, you might just stop in your tracks and never get to launch anything because of it.
Yeah, no, this is like the journey we're going through is insane. Like I was yesterday in a podcast talking about that, and I truly believe, and that's what I posted also not so long ago. It's like not most of people will not succeed, because this is a fucking hard journey. It's easy to start always, because now you can start with anything. You can use the IA stuff to create a website or whatever, but keep going every day, like having like big things, like the example I can take is like last year during the summer, I got my biggest client ever, and they were paying like 14,000 a month. It was amazing. I jumped for 2,000 MRR to 17. Like super nice. That's broke everything in my system.
Crazy,
like,
yeah.
Nothing worked anymore. And after 3 months, like I was trying to fix the shit, they left.
Yeah.
And it took me a year until now, like in May, to fucking fix it.
Yeah.
And now, that was intense. And you're like,
and people don't see this, they don't get it, they don't see how much work it is, because now if you get back to that MRR and they say, oh yeah, but I could do this project in a weekend,
do it, my friend.
That's so there is a lot of negativity and you also see, I think this was Tony Din when he made it and he posted on Hacker News that I have these 2 or 3 apps One of which was Typing Mind, and everyone was like, oh, I could do a better
Just a
version. Yeah, it's just an AI wrapper. Like, this guy just got lucky. I hate this when you just got lucky. Man, there is no such thing. There is no such thing.
I mean, this is always a matter of luck, but the luck doesn't come by its own. That's what people miss. It came because a lot of work. It came because the guy was showing up every day. When you saw IA, you did nothing with it. So shut up and do things and get lucky.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And you think you could do it, but getting to the point where you've built this luck for yourself can take years. And as you say, this is really very few people that can do this for years before they get lucky, right? Most people would quit after a few months, and rightfully so. Like, it could get very stressful sometimes. You could doubt yourself. You can go for a lot of things, but it's also beautiful in a way to look back and to see how far you've came, that you've conquered some tough times, that you've managed to, support some customers and get them to say your app is great, that, they love your app. There's nothing like it, really. It's you've built this with your own two hands. So
yeah, no, I agree. And there are also something I think people forgot is you can have success. Like, for example, CapGo now is making 5,000. So you can start to say it's a success and it will grow, blah, blah, blah. Everyone is telling me, oh, you can go to 30K easily. But I know from fact, like last time I did an mobile app, I grew it to 800 a month. And then I spent a year trying to do everything I understood about doing marketing and growing. And after the year was the same amount of money in the bank account. It didn't move a fucking iota. And I didn't have the right skill sets. So I just sold it. Like, I couldn't do it because it was B2B and I understand shit in B2B. No, in B2C it's better. But I don't know, I still struggle, for example, to address big clients. Like, when they come, they don't stay long. And so that is things I'm learning and changing, like evolving, like things to make it last. But
exactly. But it never stops the learning, right? You keep learning every day. There's always something new, and especially all these spaces that we're in, I think, including yours, they're very competitive. So there's new things being released. There are new frameworks all the time. There are all sorts of things going around that you need to be aware of, and have the right mindset to either explain why your solution is better, or change your copy, change your marketing, have comparisons and so on and so forth. And it's not easy to do that in AI right now, because there's just so much competition. It's the gold rush. It's everyone is trying to do the same thing and get rich quick. And I just think this is the wrong mentality of indie making, that you just go in and you think, yeah, I'm going to make it in 2 months and I'm going to be rich. And then what? And the very few are thinking a little bit more long term, how to make this a sustainable business that doesn't burn you out. And I don't think anyone has the answer to the question, but you need to go in with the right mindset to find the answer. If you think in 2 months I'm going to be good, you're going to be in for a shock in 2 months. Really.
Yes. I think lately we have a lot of people coming from the same mindset of they were going into job shipping, for example. They come as like a quick, easy money.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Quick, easy money doesn't exist. Like, put your credit card on the website and then the money arrived. Yeah, good luck with that. You're going to get scammed. So people got like this deception effect about that, but I don't believe this is like that will last. I believe, that will fade away, like, because they saw few people getting very good money, like Peter, Mark, and stuff like that. So then people come like, oh, it's easy money. Yeah, when I met Mark, he was making 1,000 a month, and he was doing that for 5 years. So I'm not sure this is quick, easy money.
Yeah.
The guy was like struggling a lot, and now he's like fucking enjoying his life, and I'm so happy for him, because he didn't give up, in the fucking hard time. He didn't give up.
Yeah, and it's just incredible that he hasn't, because it was like when you read the stories, sleeping in these tiny rooms on a mattress and going through some tough times and just keep shipping. That I think that's the takeaway, is not the money or the speed or the whatever you call it, the luck. It's just keeping this mentality of shipping things, trying things, and keep going. Don't stop. Keep going. So that's why he's an inspiration to me, at least. That
You push someone convinced. There's something I think also people underestimate is how much peer pressure you're gonna have when you're struggling, because it's not only you struggling, but it's your parent looking at you and like super like scared, like you're gonna be bankrupt. It's your boyfriend or girlfriend is looking at you and it's like, what the fuck? How are we going to vacation next week with no money? Stuff like that. Your friend around is like, why are you not taking back a job, like a normal job? Everything is like pushing you out of trying you to succeed because it takes time.
Exactly.
And that's what kills most of people, I believe.
Yeah, that's for sure true. And sometimes it's also your own brain creating all these scenarios, like, oh, does this person think this or that, because you start doubting. So yeah, just to keep going is a big thing. To keep believing in yourself is a way bigger achievement. Looking at this and thinking 3 years, 4 years of struggling is a lot more important to learn from that than from the just recent tip of the iceberg success that, okay, I'll make this app and then in 2 months I'll make this much money. This just is not it. The story is in the 4 years before that. That's what you should look at.
Yeah, definitely. And that's exactly what I'm doing this podcast. I ask people like where they have been through, and until they manage to have something that started working. So what was the first thing that started working for you in your journey?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that worked well was one of these crazy ideas that was called MR Art. And it was sort of a silly app to create ASCII or Unicode, these symbols, characters, to create charts out of them that you can share on social media, so Twitter and LinkedIn and so on. And it went super well when I put it out there as an idea, and it I wouldn't say it went viral, but for my level of the account back then, I think some time has passed. It got pretty big, and then I thought, okay, let's put a pre-order, and that was sort of the first time I realized this is how you properly validate something, is to have someone to pay for it. If people pay for it, then you have something. If they sign up for a news, how do you call this, upcoming thing, like a wait list.
A wait list.
That doesn't mean anything, right? If they say this is a cool idea on your Twitter, that doesn't mean anything. What really matters is they bought the thing, they paid for it, right? So this worked well. I built it in like a week. It was sort of a sprint, and then it made a few $1,000, and a lot of people loved it, but it couldn't go anywhere because this is all that it was. It was finished, right? This is the app. It's done. That's it. But that got me, so I made Clover, I made Crontab, that's a SaaS that I still have. Then I made Hunted Space. Then I made something called Content Pal, and none of these really made a lot. They made, hundreds of bucks here and there. And this one was the first that went into the thousands, that got a lot of orders. So it gave me the push to build more, because at that time you were thinking, well, is this gonna work? Like, do I have what I need? But it was pretty early in the journey still. Like I would do these apps every month or so. And yeah, then, fast forward to October, I did something similar with Shipix, I did a video of not even an MVP, but more like a proof of concept of what I thought this could be. And that blew up. And I immediately set up the pre-orders, got, I think, a few thousands in a day, and then it kept selling. So I think the pre-orders was up to $8,000 or so, and that was
thought to be very good.
Yeah, exactly. That starts to be pretty good. But then I felt the pressure, and I thought, okay, those people are pre-ordering, do they even know what they're going? Like, this is starting to be significant. So it was, I think overall it was a great success. And then through December and January, I kind of kept it at that level, so around 8,000, 9,000 a month. And then I switched to some freelancing, and then I doubled down on Morning Maker Show, so I didn't focus as much on marketing this. And it slowed down. It's still pretty successful. It's still doing around $3,000 a month without a lot of marketing. I know where to take it as well. But at the moment, the primary focus is Morning Maker Show, which is doing similar revenue. But the difference is that a Morning Maker Show is recurring revenue. So I feel a little bit more safe with that, because with Chipixen, I feel like if I stop marketing, then it's going to go down, as it has from January, right? So there is a mix of marketing and responding to the features that I get from customers that I need to do for that. Again, it's where to put the work that gives you the biggest return on investment. And right now, it seems like Morning Maker Show is that. It's growing very well. We got some pretty big sponsors alongside the membership, and I really feel like this is a good frontier. Maybe you feel the same doing this podcast, that building video and building media for consumption is a pretty nice moat to have, because together with it, you're also building your brand. And as what's really interesting about it is the people that you have on the show, if they're successful, then people associated with your success as well, and it kind of snowballs into this big thing, which seems to happen now, that a lot of people it's like a magnet, and people get attracted to good stories, to successful stories. Yeah, so that's sort of the fast forward to where I am. But that shows the good side, but there's also a dark side, right? And I think that's more interesting.
we're gonna go on that side. But I think what you reference is a bit Gary Vaynerchuk is making these theories about, like, build a personal brand and build everything around, because anything you're gonna build, then is snowball effect all the time. And that's something you don't realize, I think, when you start, how much, like, snowball effect is important in everything. You know, right now I'm doing, like, in CapGo, I think it's growing like 13 to 16% a month. But now there's like almost 6,000 by month. So now 13% is amazing. Like at the beginning, it was also same, but it was like €12 more every month. Now it's almost 1,000 every month.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah.
No, that's very cool. And what are you selling exactly in just the community in the
so we sell two things. We sell community access, and then we sell sponsorships as well. And sponsorships can be, we have two packages. We also support indie makers, and we have kind of a cheapish package that they could get. And what we do is we usually get their product if we're not using it already. Sometimes that can happen. We try it for a couple weeks, and then we talk about it on the show, and then we also write about it. We tweet about it, just whatever our experience is. So, good or bad, just raw experience with what it is. And that's been great, both for indie makers and bigger companies. I think, of course, for us, it's nicer to have the bigger companies, but I feel like we have a little bit of a history with being part of this community, so we still keep the indie making part around just because it's it's the right thing to do, I guess. So community and sponsorships, and you usually the sponsorships are usually recurring on a monthly basis. So I'm not sure if that's probably common, but sometimes you have also one-off sponsorships. We had that as well with some of the companies that just pay you a sum for a number of show appearances or newsletter appearances, and so on. But yeah, those are basically the revenue streams that we have right now.
That's cool. That's what I tried to do in French, because the story is, this podcast is the second one I'm doing. The first one was in French, and I went up to 100,000 listen in total for 100 episodes. And I created the Discord community. I had a community with, 500 people or more. But in French, that was so hard to get sponsorship. Every sponsor I got, it was yeah, we pay you 50 euro for 1,000 listen. I was like, you kidding?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that, sorry. And because in France, the market is so not ready for this kind of thing. They don't understand how it works and how, if people listen a podcast, a 1 hour podcast, it's not like a view on YouTube, of 10 minutes. It's totally different. So the price is way different than that. But yeah, so that was, I struggle a lot. And my final way to make money was by asking the people who come to the podcast to share the fee with me, to at least I don't pay much, because I was paying editors and stuff to help me.
Yes.
But yeah, I couldn't monetize it. So that's one of the reasons I decided to go in English, because I knew I will pay cheaper people to help me. Because French, if you want people speaking French, there are not a lot of countries.
It's gonna be more expensive. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then also because I know sponsorship and everything is more mature, so it will be better if I want to monetize and everything.
Yeah, I think but that's exactly the point, that the right company will understand the audience that you have and how engaged they are, and the fact that they will use the product that you talk about, they will use it in their business. And that's worth a lot more than a view or whatever the measure is, listens. Because what does it mean for 100 people to listen and not do anything? What does it mean for a person to get this, maybe use it in their freelance gigs as well, right? Forward it to other customers and being an advocate of the technology, right? And I think that's kind of what the angle that we had, because a lot of the people that listen to us and see the products see how we use them to improve our businesses, and then they use it in their business, they improve their business, and then they talk about that as well. So it has a huge reach for that company. And you don't need 100,000 of these. You need 10 good businesses that do this, and they're gonna get a ton of customers just because of those. It's more of a quantity versus quality game. And we will have way higher quality than just your regular tech podcast about news, what new framework has launched this week. Oh yeah, that's cool, maybe I should try it next week. But you never build anything, you never ship anything, because there's not enough time. This audience actually does ship things and sell it for money, and they will pay for your product if it saves them time, right? That's it.
So I have a question to this, how do you make the show grow? What's your aim to make this business growing, the show and the community and everything?
Yeah, so recently we started to talk more about the community. We didn't do a lot of marketing around it because we wanted, I think we wanted the right size for that, and I think we're there. It's very hard to build a community from scratch, because you want enough people for it to be active, but also you want to know the people, so it feels like a safe space. And you cannot have both really fast, because if you do very fast, then you will have all sorts of people that you don't know, you don't trust. So it just took a lot of time to get to this space. But now we know a lot of the members have been saying, this is where I feel safe to share something, to share success, to share my next product, to share also the bad parts when I have to, and also to get help without the thing that we touched on before, all the negativity, all the people copying you and on all of that. There's a lot of people that create new products and kind of launch them in the community. Maybe launch is a lot said, but they just say, hey, here's a link to my next thing. Do you want to try it out? Give me some feedback. So we want to grow that. We want to keep it that way, grow at a steady pace, and have people launch things, build things within this community, and keep it as the safe space where you kind of feel like you know each other and you kind of feel like you're not alone in this thing. Because that's, I also think, I wrote about this yesterday, that the ones that reach the success have people around them that encourage them, that keep them motivated. The same with you and Mark Liu, right? You talk with each other. There's dark times, you say, yeah, it's gonna pass. It's gonna be good. And if you look at all the successful ones, big or small, they have some people around them that they've built together, that they've used as a support group and supporting each other or challenging each other. What's your MR? Like, can you grow it? Yeah. So that's one part of it. The community, we're very big on it. And then the other part is the YouTube part. So we're starting to get more serious about it. It hasn't been long since we started, especially in YouTube terms, because YouTube has, a bit of a ramp up as far as I can see and read, that you cannot just join and get, thousands and thousands of views. It takes time. Yeah, so we want to actually get into that, and that will require us to be a bit less niche. I think we're very niche right now. We have to be appealing more broadly, and I think one way to do that is to talk more about how you as a designer, as a marketer, as a developer could start selling something and making a business by yourself and doing it in a nice way, so you actually feel like this could be an improvement to your life. So doing that on YouTube and growing the channel is the second the second strategy that we have, and I think it's going all right. It's not. I'm not super excited about the speed, but we're almost at 500 subscribers now. We're gonna get there soon. I think that's when you can get monetized, as far as I remember. Some videos have a few thousand views. That's good in the grand scheme of things. That's good, and it all accumulates on YouTube, because every video you do, you can get more views the next week, and if you keep adding videos, people will watch stuff from the past, and it keeps growing and growing the more content you add, and eventually I hope that will please the almighty algorithm as well, and start to get recommended more and all that.
Yeah, honestly, in the field of YouTube, when you do long content, this is very hard to get recommended properly, because it's not pushed well yet. I know with the podcast, like this time with the podcast, I'm trying to do YouTube first, because I want to manage to get recommended. But I'm telling you, with the previous one, I was doing YouTube since the 20th episode, and I never got like big on any episode, while the podcast was getting big. Like I made like 6, 7, 8,000 plays, like it started to be very big. And on YouTube, like no, it was like staying low, and it's very hard. So right now, that's why I'm trying to push YouTube first, to try to understand on YouTube. But right now, the results are not great. Like I'm not pushing the podcast on Spotify, and I got as much as listen as the things I'm pushing on YouTube.
Yes.
Like what the fuck?
Yeah. It's tough. So that's why we're also experimenting a lot with, I think, both ends. So we have some short videos. We also tried some reactions to things, which I think went okay. And also a 10-hour video to see how that goes, where it's just, you've probably seen that.
Is the one with the cheese?
Yeah.
Oh my
Nico
God,
cutting
I saw
it,
that. I was
eating
like, we're
cheese.
genius.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it didn't go too crazy, but it's like maybe close to 1,000 views, maybe. So it's all right. It's all right. I can't complain. I mean, but I don't feel like we've nailed exactly the type of content. So we'll keep experimenting, but it seems within reach, right? It seems like it's doable. It might be possible. We're also doing shorts, so it might be possible that the short content that or not too 20, 30 seconds, but maybe 5 to 10 minutes we could definitely extract that and enhance it.
For me, currently on the podcast, this is what bringing the most of new people is short content. Like I'm paying someone full time to release one short a day, and that is like starting to pay off. Like I see they make like 500 views regularly.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes, but it's not like YouTube with long form content is like not friendly. So definitely you need to cut things.
Yeah,
that's cool, and I really like.
Do you also do TikTok, or is it just YouTube?
I would like to do TikTok, but I have a problem. Like I cannot fucking use TikTok on my brother because I'm get blocked each time I try to connect. He says sorry, too many attempts. Like I didn't try for a week, and I try to connect and it doesn't work.
All right,
and I refuse to fucking reinstall this shit app because it's like stole me so many times, much time. So I don't know. At one point, I think I will pay the editor to post it himself. I will tell him, like, post yourself. Like, create an account for me because I cannot access it.
I think what I would like, and it probably exists, is a tool where you can post to YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I think that's
beautiful.
Yeah, maybe it exists. If it doesn't, that's a great idea. But it probably exists. Yes. Come on.
If you listen, if you don't know what to do, please make us a tool for including shorts.
Yeah, we'll pay you for it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like you doing the community works for you, because I think when you have that, then it's like push you to continue, like tomorrow, if you didn't have the community, then if you don't do much view, and it will, because it takes infinite time to learn or to please the algorithm and do things. So while having the community is like a superpower, because it will push you to like keep going, and that's super nice. Like
exactly.
Definitely.
I mean, yeah, I bet you also have a group, and I think that's also equally important. Like, it's quite funny. I don't know if this is a secret or not, but we doing this for long enough, you'll end up in a chat of sorts with other people that are kind of going through the same thing, and the community, those chats with these close people that are also building and also doing good or having bad days, that just makes you feel like you're not alone in this. Basically, there's others, and you cannot really talk to many people about this because all your friends don't get it. You talk to your friends, like, what, as you said, they're gonna say, "Why don't you get a job? Why you come to me with these problems?" They cannot understand you at all, right? So yeah.
That's funny you talk about that, because I think lately that got my best friend, she's a woman, and she started to be entrepreneur 4 years ago. And since the beginning, I told her, like, be surrounded, find friends, like, you're going to do the same thing of you, because it will be hard. And she struggled a lot to be surrounded with friends like her. And this year, like, she decided to give up because she was still struggling. She was still not making constant money. She was like able to do and then not do. And everyone around her was telling her that. So at one point she was like, "Oh, fuck off, I will get a normal job."
Yeah.
That's sad, because like she could be very good. It's just like you need this fucking community. So subscribe to Morning Maker Show community. By the way, I just did when we were talking, so I will join this.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. Wow, thank you so much. That's really, you just.
Yeah. I mean, because I don't want to forget, so I did it. Yeah. I did it when we were talking.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
For me, it's very important, and I am on certain chat and stuff like that, but still, I think like being in community where, like, when you work on this community to make it great and create event and stuff in it, it's very important. And a paid one paid community have always been the best one I've ever been, because like free community, it died very fast, or you give up or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it's not as good as paid community because someone has an incentive to show up every day to make this community great.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I think I was talking to Dago at some point, and he had a really good take on this. He said it's like the gym membership. Like, if the gym was for free, you wouldn't go there as often because you don't have any
Yes,
reason. I think, I've paid all this money. Maybe I should just go and lift some weights. Come on, it's just downstairs, you know?
yeah,
It's the same with
it's
this.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one thing. But of course, in a paid community, there is a lot more filtering, right? So even though when someone subscribes, we kind of do a little bit of check. I mean, we actually know most people that subscribe, but sometimes there's someone that we actually don't know. And you don't get the invite immediately. We kind of do a bit of a background check, and then we're saying, yeah, okay,
I agree with that. Like I was looking at email if I got the link and I didn't.
yeah,
So yes,
yeah.
definitely a
Just,
background check.
probably Sandra is doing a background check right now.
And me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very manual process, the background check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah.
I think we did already a good length, like 1 hour 16. For the people who are still here, thank you. I think we can go now a bit on the we've been on things working, so I think we can go on the topic of been struggling. Like, what was your recent struggle? Like recent things it's hard
Yeah.
for you, and how do you try to beat them?
Yeah. I think it's a first world problem, but I've mentioned that around November, December, things were going very well. I think I had a tweet around December where I said more than 50% of the revenue is coming from my own products now. So I'm kind of on the other side of things, and the rest of it is freelancing. And I always like kept the freelancing open because if it's the right gig, and it's paid well, then it's a revenue stream. So
I'm still doing it 1 day
Yeah.
a week.
yeah, exactly. So as long as it's not distracting you, or even if it is, it doesn't have to feel, you do this to not have the sort of the downsides of a regular job. And then if you get back into it, then why are you doing the indie hacking in the first place? You always have to keep that in mind. And that doesn't mean like for a while you can still do it and you can jump back and forth, but keep that in the back of your mind. Like why have you started? Why do you want to do something on your own? What's the vision, right? So for a while I thought the freelancing part, that's sort of going back. That's not progress. And
Yeah, for me, it's like a backward motivation. Each time it's my freelance day, I hate this day. And I'm like, I have to grow this fucking MRR to don't need it.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so I also thought it's not good, but I couldn't figure out why, and it was just a mental barrier of mine. But in in July, I did a lot of freelancing and the products didn't do too well. And I wanted to say, like, I'm such a disappointment because in December, things were going amazing and it seemed like it's going up. And, it's like this always.
Yes.
And I wanted to write this tweet like, it's been a good month. I don't know. I think I made around 27K or something like that in total. But the percentage of freelancing was 30%, maybe, if not even that. The percentage of my own product, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
So 70% freelancing. And I really felt bad about it. I felt I'm not really doing well.
Failure.
Yeah, failure, exactly. And I just thought, I have to reflect on this because why does it feel like a failure? Because to most people, making
Amazing.
27K in a month is a pretty sweet thing, right? It could be your goal.
Twice the basic salary of France a yearly.
Yeah, right. So I kind of reflected on it, and then before that, I had Daniel Vassallo. We had him on the show, and he said, if you have some sort of freelancing that you personally enjoy and then is paid well, if you don't take that just out of principle, then you're leaving money on the table for no reason, because it's just one way to diversify the income. Now, the problem is, it's not that diversified, is it? But that's just because it was a good month, and is more important than to feel depressed and feel, well, man, this could have went the other way around.
Depressed
Take
with
the
your
win.
deals, like with the money.
Yeah, with the man, just take the win, celebrate the small wins. Look at the other things. The MRR that I had was pretty high. Take that win. I mean, overall, everyone said, "Dude, what's wrong with you? This is a win." This is like something really wrong with your brain.
Research beat yourself all the time. You can have like very nice success and like, and look at these things I didn't do well. Like
exactly.
So hard sometimes.
Exactly. So, I'm still struggling with it. I still feel like I want my products to be most of the income. I think that's gonna come. It's gonna come, as I said. It's just a couple years, maybe heading towards 3 years since I've been doing this. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a long time. Like, again, look at Mark, look at Peter Levels, probably did it for 10 years before he really made,
Same here.
Yeah. So, it's really just keep going and take the small wins. And I think that's also one of the takeaways, is that it's more important to celebrate the small wins, because your brain is really good at finding issues, finding problems, finding negativity and everything. And, just the smallest email from a customer can put you off, where a customer is yelling at you because this or that, and your day is ruined just because of this one thing. But there are 9 other positive things that happened that day, but you just ignore them because you cannot get past the negativity, right?
I think this winter I was doing something that has helped me a lot. So I use an app from a maker. The app name is OneSec. So it's an app you install on your phone, and it blocks social media, and you can you can make it force you to do action before reaching social media. And so I was forcing it to do every morning if I want going to Twitter or whatever app or social media, even email at one point, I may put it everywhere. It was asking me to do journaling. And so the morning it was about intention, like what I want to do today, what's my energy today, what I want to show up to the world. And at the end of the day, he was asking me to reflect about my day and what was the success of the day and what I enjoyed during the day. And at the time, I was like very in a shit show place. So it was so hard to do this exercise, but it helped me a lot. So I recommend that if you struggle also like you, then to have something like journaling and stuff. It's basic self-development shit. Like everyone is like a guru kind of thing, but in fact, that's helped. Help. And also it blocks you to do in social media and look for Mark or whatever who say, hey, I made shit batch of money, and then you're like, oh, I'm miserable. So it's a double positive effect.
Yeah, that's also a thing. Like I used to, going a couple of years back, those things that initially motivated me to start, after a while of doing this, and I think there's something human about it, you start to feel like you're doing something wrong, and those things start to have a negative effect where they used to be super positive. And I'm at the other side of that. I've been for a while, and I feel happy for people that share that, and it's motivational to see their success. But when things are not going well and you see that, it has to get to you. Like, I don't care who you are, because even if you think you believe in yourself and you think, it's going to be good, there's some sort of primal instinct to compare yourself. I don't know. I think we're all competitive in this space to some extent. So that's, it's not an Olympic sport, but we're still competitive in our own ways. You know what
We
I
should
mean?
do the Olympics of video
Yeah.
makers.
Yeah, and we all want to like be the best in what we do somehow, or in our niche at least. So the other thing that is it was quite difficult is to look at these and to understand how they got there. And I think that also made it worse for me because a lot of people would share these and not have the backstory. I think Mark always shows the backstory. Okay, this is where I've been to get here. But a lot of people would just show the end result and say, I've launched this app 2 months ago. Now it's a 20K MRR. That's it. That's the tweet. There's nothing else. And you think, man, in 2 months, like I've been doing this for 6 months and I don't have anything. Like what's wrong? But they've been working, it's their 10th business. They've been working for 5 years. They've been fired. They've been, you don't know what they've been through to get to that stage and to hit this month. So I also started to see it with this perspective that, okay, this is very interesting. I wonder what's the history of this person, how they got here, and what I could learn from it instead of just feeling like you're a lot slower than they are.
I think over time you kind of learn these things and stop like comparing or less comparing. Like for me, at the very, very beginning of my journey, like each time I was seeing someone younger than me with more success, I was like, oh, I'm so shitty. Like I'm doing so bad. Like this guy is making money, and I'm like older than him. Like I lost my time. I did shit. I was very, very mad at myself. Now I'm kind of more relaxed about that. I'm like, yeah, everyone has his own journey, and not everyone doing things the same.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I have this funny sentence I repeat myself often, who helped me. I think I'm a bit of psycho in this, but I'm like, yeah, maybe, he's there, but his mom is dead, and my mom is alive. So it's fine.
Scroll past it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, you never know where these people have been, like now everyone is like looking at Mark and it's like, oh yeah, so big success, blah, blah, blah. But you didn't saw the guy grinding, and when I asked him like, hey man, let's go to a restaurant, I was like, no man, I have a tight budget, I cannot go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
And he was every day like that for months, for years. I was like, man, how you do that? It's like, be not kind to yourself. He was like, I can't, dude. Like, really, I can't. I was like,
yeah,
oh, wow.
Exactly. The struggle. It was the same with Nico, right? And he would lock himself in a hotel room and like just work 24/7.
Even more psycho.
Yeah,
it's like not
and
leaving
like,
a room for 6 months.
Yeah, and that's it. And yeah, it's similar. But I think they're pretty good at talking about this, right? It would be a lot worse if they just kind of pretended this never happened, right? And then they don't. That's why they're good.
Sure.
They're good role models in this sense that, they show the whole thing.
I'm really bullish into this. Like, I think more and more people will be very, very true and transparent into socials. Like, that's how you create real connection and you don't get insulted and like putting in the ground. Like, I really believe in that. And there are a book talking about that. It's like a radical honesty, I think. And I truly believe that's the best way to create connection with your close people and people on the internet. Is like, be fucking honest,
Yeah, ultimately, this is what you're left with when that product doesn't take off. You're left with how you treated other people and the brand that you build. And I also think if you look at these people's success, the latest example, Danny Postma's SEO course, right? He built this brand of a nice guy sharing knowledge, always talking about what he did, what worked, what didn't work, built a huge trust in the community. And then finally, when he launched this, he made 100K in a week or some crazy amount, right? And that's the thing. His biggest asset is his perception, his brand, and the way people look up to him because he was a decent person up to that point and shared things and helped others, and that's it. That's where it's at.
I really loved that he even share like, oh, I have the land next to me that I'm scared like they're gonna put a fucking like nightclub or something. So maybe I should do this course. And then everyone is like, yes, do it. And personally, I didn't bought it for the course. I was like, no, you're right. You shouldn't have a nightclub next to you.
Yeah, man, that's exactly it. I don't know if Danny planned it this way. It was genius, but I know you cannot plan these. Like you could be maybe levels. He planned some of these. It kind of feels like
I
he's
don't
trolling a
even
bit,
believe.
but you cannot really control what goes viral and not. And I know when Sandra said, "Hey, did you see Danny? He has this problem with the land and that." And I bought the SEO course, and now I feel like I own a part of the land.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
I remember I answered that. I was like, what? Did we bought
Yeah.
the SEO course?
Yeah. It's just, the whole package was great. So, and I think that's the more you launch and the more you talk about your success, the more you're honest about it, then the easier it will be to launch the next thing. And regardless if it's, I think you can launch new products, but you can also launch stuff around your existing products. I've been doing this a lot this year. So I have so many products, I have a hard time remembering sometime, when you ask me what's your top 5, and I'm like, oh, I should have prepared for this, right? And I mean, there's...
Make your own leather.
Yeah.
Put it on the Mark indie page, and then you will have them.
Exactly. Yeah. So you need the directory to remember.
Yes.
So yeah. Anyway, where I was going with this. So the
that happens sometimes.
Yeah. The top 2 that I have, at least, I'm building stuff around them. So you kind of notice that Morning Maker Show has a community, and it has sponsorship, and has YouTube, and now we're doing TikTok, and we're kind of launching things around it. The same with Chipixon. I've built 3 tools this year, and they're each, so 3 as a number 3, but also 3 as in you don't have to pay to use them. And each of them have been launched separately. I made a small product hunt launch. I made a small, marketing day on X to kind of get some hype around each. And beyond the sales that they got, and some of them did pretty well, each of them built up this brand, built up the audience, and built up sort of this image that I'm shipping things, I'm building cool things, and I have a pretty good speed at shipping. So then, I try to stay humble. It's not to show that, oh my God, this guy is so good. Everything, they be the judge of that, if it's good or not. But what I want to show is keep shipping, keep putting things out there, launching things, trying things. Some things will work, some things won't and will fail, and then you just do the next one. But all of these, good or bad, failure or not, will sort of increase your trust in the community and your perceived value. And sometimes, it's good to reflect on these launches and say, okay, this went well, this didn't go so well. Share what you learn, and then people will start sort of gravitating around you. The next thing you launch will be even better. So I think that's also what marked it, to be honest, with each product.
That's what people are criticizing, and I'm like, you're so dumb to criticize that. It's like, the point is like, we are bad at what we're doing, so we're doing multiple times to get better. It's time like doing push-ups when you go to the gym. At the beginning, you're doing it wrong, so you don't even get muscle, because you push with your back instead of with your arm or stuff like that.
Yeah. But I also don't believe this myth of someone being good at this, because it's so random. You could be good technically or good from a design perspective or marketing perspective, but none of that really matters, because ultimately there's this small chance that you will hit the timing and the copy and the marketing channel, and everything will come together for this to be a success. And there's not one thing that could make it happen. So ultimately, no one knows. I don't think the VC companies know either. It's just putting a lot of money up front in it, but they don't know if something's going to be a success. It's just a numbers game. 1% of them. Yeah. So just pretending that, oh, do one thing and double down on that because it's success, then I'd still be doing Clubber, making a few hundreds a month, right? And have a really nice website, but that's it. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, I think we can do like it's 1:30. We can go to my finishing question because that was a very good episode, I think, and I enjoyed the conversation with you.
Oh, thanks so much.
If you have liked the episode, like put a
Comment,
fucking like on the
subscribe.
button, a comment, subscribe, or whatever. If it's on the podcast, put a 5-star
Share
rating or
it.
do a
Yeah,
rating.
5. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Buy the
Share it,
merchandise.
yeah. Make your mom listen, whatever. Do what you think best, but do something. And something I was always sharing in the French podcast is like starting to do action like that. It's also starting you to do the right things because like when you support others, you will support yourself and get support as well from others. Like if tomorrow you support me and you ask me for support, then it makes sense. I will support you as well. And if you never do anything for anyone in the indie
Yeah.
makers, then you're gonna ask your fucking upvote and no one will fucking care.
Yeah. Yeah.
So start by giving.
Yeah, exactly. And even I would even go a step further and start by giving without even expecting that much in return.
Yes.
I mean, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I mean, it's still fine. But if you don't do it, people are not gonna remember you. They're not gonna think much of what you are as a person. And I think it's very important if you build in public to also be part of this community around and not just be in for yourself. And I think, yeah, ultimately we're all in for ourselves in the sense that we want our product to make it, but it's a lot easier to grow together with other people and be supportive than, yeah, it's back to what we said in the beginning. Doing this alone, it's a terrible idea. Don't do it. And one way to
make some friends around it, and then it will be way easier.
And be nice, be supportive, and that will happen naturally as well with time. Yeah, I always try to be supportive, but it is tough some days where you have this bug and you've worked all day and there's no time, and then someone had the product hunt launch and you just need to squeeze in that energy and go and be supportive and do a comment and so on. And I try to do it anyway, even if it's low energy, but some days I just can't make it. I need a break. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And for me the most hard is when I see someone which is like I never saw anywhere, I never saw posting things on Twitter or whatever, and ask me like support. I'm like, how to explain to you? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I want to insult people, and I'm like, no, it's not all right. They will not help either. But
yeah,
it's hard, guys. It's hard. Find friends, create friends, talk to people, send a message to Dan, send a message to me, create friendship.
Yeah,
Tomorrow
exactly.
will be easier.
That's the recipe. What's really interesting to me is I think in the beginning, yeah, you need to ask people a lot more. But I got product of the day maybe 4 times now. Is it more? I don't. Yeah, again, problem with too many products. And the past 2, I haven't asked for support at all. It's just no DMs, no, none of those direct messages or anything like that. It was just essentially the months and months of supporting others and just being a decent member of the community, pretty much. Like, you don't even have to do that much. You just have to be there, say something nice, and try people's products, maybe give some feedback. That is it. And then great things will happen without you even having to ask for them. Like, people will support you because they will remember that you supported them when it was tough or before they made their first dollar or something like that.
Yeah, no, usually people remember you very well. Like, this is something like when we help each other. Like, for example, I helped Mark to do his first mobile app because he was at the time he was having the habit tracker on a website, and everyone is banging to him like, do a mobile app. And he was making like 600 a month with that. So he was like, okay, maybe I should, but it's like maybe I want to do something else instead. So I
Yeah.
spent a 2 day with him, just like helping him to do with Capacitor mobile app. And we did handle the login, the fucking notification and everything. And that's how we become friends, you know. I told him like, man, this is easy to do. Like, stop like fucking around. Don't do like a
Yeah.
new app or Swift or whatever. I come to your place, we do it, and it's done. And he was like,
Yeah.
really? So yeah, of course, man. And then I helped Nico also as well doing mobile app. And same, you know, like no, like you create a relationship because just like I
Yeah.
knew something and I helped them,
Yeah.
and we help each other now.
Yeah, that sticks forever. You know, these types of friendships, they tend to stick pretty much. I mean, I don't know where it ends yet, but the friendships that I made this way, I don't think I'm gonna let them go. You know, it's it's too emotional. So yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking at one point to do like a kind of a website to push maker to exchange like competencies and stuff they don't know how to do. Because
Yeah.
it's a very good way to do friendship and stuff. But I was like, okay, another idea, you know, in the bucket list of the
In the
idea
bucket
you
of
will
100 ideas. Yeah.
you will never do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, okay, let's keep focused on making money first.
Yeah. It's quite funny at this with the ideas. This is what people first look for when they think about starting to make a business or a product, and they've never done it before. They search for ideas, and that is the easiest part, and the part that
Yes.
really doesn't help you a lot in the beginning. Like, you just first thing that comes to mind, build that. You're gonna fail anyway, and then the next one's gonna be better. You know?
And you will discover maybe something which is most useful in the way. And
Exactly. And that's such a good path that while you build things, keep an eye open to annoyances that you have and build your next product based on that, and yeah, so on and so forth.
That's a reason why I'm still doing freelancing. It's because each time I go to a client, I see so many shit they do and I annoy them. I'm like, noted. That's a better idea than just like thinking. Okay, do you have a favorite quote? Something you really like to repeat yourself? Not need to be like famous people saying this. It can be you. It can be your dad.
Yeah. I have this quote by John Rush. I might misquote him, but yeah. But feedback from your friends is bad for you, and then feedback from the people you ask for feedback is bad for you. And that really stuck with me. And this is a whole unpacking this, is that when you ask people for feedback, they get into this mode of looking at the details and analyzing, like, could I say this so I kind of sound smart, so I kind of sound like I'm helping this person? And that's really not useful to you at all. It's just noise. So that's kind of a recent, I think it's been a couple months since John said this, but it just stuck in my head. It was just the way he said it. It's very good.
Yeah, I agree. There are a book about that, like for feedback and for growing a product, is like the mom test from Josh Filderal. John, I don't remember his name. I will fuck up. But the name of the book is the mom test. It's very good about that. It's talking about how you can ask question to not fuck up if you at one point want to ask a question because you feel no one is giving you feedback. Read the book first. It's like 200 pages, super easy to read, and it's like €12, I think, on Gumroad and stuff like that. So yeah, very
easy
good
purchase.
Yeah, very easy. What you wish someone told you before you started this journey?
Do email marketing, collect emails.
Oh fuck, I have to do that.
Yeah, it's all around marketing. I really thought for a long time that I'm kind of special and I can whip something up, I can create it, and people will just throw money at me and
take my money.
I wish. Yeah, exactly. Please.
I'm kinda special. We have all of that. It's insane. Like, but I can do that without this technique, without doing that. You know, I was like, I don't need marketing. Yeah, after 3 years, so I'm like, I'm doing marketing. Okay.
So I just wish someone would tell me, hey, before you do anything, put this email sign up like here and start writing content, understand a little bit of SEO, maybe start doing any marketing at all and stop focusing on features and doing things that no one knows about because you don't talk about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there are a second question coming for that is, do you think you will have listened yourself or listened this person if you will have told you?
No.
Yes, it's always like that. So if someone give you a recommendation like that and you're starting, listen. Don't do our mistake.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't because of the same reason, because I would think, no, I know better. I'm
better than
I'm
that.
special. Yeah, I'm better. Like, I don't need this. My stuff's gonna work. Just watch me do it. And yeah, that's some sort of arrogance, ego. And I think that's what happens after doing this for a while. You kind of become more humble and start to
your ego,
appreciate
like,
this.
you got slapped so bad. Then you're like, maybe I'm listening to people now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, no, I agree. Like, ego, like, got like very, very down because of entrepreneurship. The beginning, like, I'm better than everyone, and then after, it's like, maybe I'm not so good, and I will learn from
maybe
people
I should learn.
of,
Some things.
You should listen and try their strategy, even you look dumb as fuck. I agree so bad with that. Will be which? Oh no, I don't know to speak anymore. It's late. It's Friday.
Oh yeah, weekend is coming soon. Yeah.
Yes. What will be the next person I should invite after you in this podcast?
So a person that I also want to get on the Morning Maker show is Dmitro Krasun. He's the screenshot one. I guess he's just Dima, and he's a super fascinating person to me. He's kind of, whenever I talk to him, he seems like this guy I've known throughout my childhood, and he's there for me, like he knows my story. He's he seems very mature and very refined. He reads a lot, and I think so. It's quite funny that with him you could go into history and politics and so on, and he's knowledgeable about it, but also humbling, and he always listens to the other side, and even if it's clearly a wild take, he still entertains it and goes with it. So that's like one side of the personality. But then he's building this one business now. He sold his other one, probably know that, and he's just doing this one thing, and it's going very well. And he's also a role model in that sense that he probably went through similar steps with marketing and so on, but he kept doing this one product and grew it and believed in himself, I guess, to stick with this. But it wasn't his first product, so it was, I'm not sure what number it was, but at least from what I know, he tried a few, and he had this set of tools, which was also like a number of products under the umbrella of one product. So there was a lot until he got to this, and until he managed to validate it. So it wasn't crazy to go all in. And I think that's really cool. I think all of us, right? What we're looking for is to get that product that we believe that is going to be it, and to put all of the effort into that. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't experiment. And I'm pretty sure he has all sorts of side projects, and he's launching things. Like, we'll always do that because it's part of us. Yeah. now
Yes, it is. Totally.
But having this one goal, this one vision, like this is the thing that I'm working on. I think that's very cool, and yeah, he's a cool guy. So definitely,
I think
you sold
me the profile very well. I already have him. I am in contact with him, but he has kids, family, so he need to find time. So I just send him a message while you say his name. I was like, okay, did you check? Because Dan is talking about you.
Now there's some urgency. Yeah.
Thanks for that. And so we go to the last question: is where do we send people who wants to know more about you?
I think just on my X. That's where I'm posting every day. Twitter.com/D4M1N.
It will
Sorry,
be in
I'm
the
old
description.
fashioned.
No,
I'm
I am
sorry.
same. I was surprised you say on your X. Usually I never say X. Like it's
Yeah,
always Twitter.
I cannot really. Can we talk a second about this? They ruined such a good brand, and it's such a mess. And you
Yes,
cannot search for this. Like, why do you put X in Google? What results do you get? It's such a bad move
I
for
wonder.
one guy's ego because he had this one domain from 2000s. I mean, come on, guys. It's just, and I love that bird. I love that bird.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
anyway, that's where I am. You'll find me there every day. I try to reply and I link to my products and whatnot from there. So please check them out and check out morningmakershow.com as well. It's,
And
I
join the
think,
community
and join the
to make
community.
friends. If you don't have friends, join the friends. All the
Exactly.
links will
Just
be in the
pay for your
description.
friends. Then,
Yeah, pay for your friends. You have to go to start somewhere, you know? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for joining me in the show. It was a pleasure. And for the people who have listened, thank you for being until there and see you next week. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Martin. I had a blast.